Hello everyone. Today I've chosen a rather complicated topic that I've wanted to tackle for a very long time. However, I've always hesitated because I wasn't quite sure if I could present it in a way that's understandable, so that you can follow along and believe what I'm saying here. So, it might be today, as you watch the video, that the skeptic in you, well, this voice from the background will occasionally chime in. And sometimes say, "What is she talking about? That can't possibly be true," or something like that. But I just ask you to listen to it with your heart. Leave the skeptic aside, pay attention to whether any resistance arises in you while listening. And if it does, pause the video for a moment, say stop to yourself. Thank you, dear skeptic, I want to listen with my heart now, and then continue listening. Okay. So, today it's about the law of attraction, or also known as the law of resonance. I don't know if you're already familiar with the law or if you've seen the movie The Secret. It's such a classic, a film from 2006, where this story about the law of attraction was first introduced to the world. And if you're not familiar with it at all and have never heard of it, I suggest you might want to check it out. It could change your entire life. Welcome to Soul Tapping. Today it's about the law of attraction and what it has to do with depression. It could be one of those many reasons why you've been trying to overcome your depression for a long time and haven't quite succeeded yet. And that's how it is. I've already made a lot of videos on this topic because there are so many pitfalls on the way out of depression, and it's a huge pitfall if you don't know and consider the law of attraction. I believe that it then leads to many misunderstandings about how life fundamentally works. I know this from my own experience, and I observe it in many depressed people that they have a fundamental feeling of being helplessly at the mercy of life. So, the things out there, outside, they just happen. Beautiful and terrible things happen, and especially terrible things. And we can't do anything about it. Somehow. It all happens by chance, and we are completely, helplessly at its mercy. We have to somehow react to it and somehow cope with it. And if the situation is bad right now, then we have no chance of getting out of it, because life is just mean and hard, and who knows? So many people have this belief. Maybe they picked it up early on if their parents always said things like, "Life is no bed of roses," or "Life is hard and cruel," or "You don't get anything for free in life." There are so many stupid sayings that program us for life to perceive life as hard and cruel and unfair or something like that. And if you haven't seen the movie yet, then it might be something new for you when I tell you that, in reality, the order is reversed. So, it's not that the external event comes first, and then comes our reaction, the emotional response, and the formation of a belief. But in reality, it's the other way around. Our feelings, our beliefs create the world outside. If you've never heard it before, it might sound pretty crazy to you at first. Yes, it is, because there's a very big danger in it, that one might think, "Oh, so I'm to blame for my own suffering." No, that's not what it means, and I'll explain to you as best as I can what it's about. So, in childhood, it is indeed the case that things happen externally. As children, we naturally have to react to the outside world in some way. And we react to events by feeling certain emotions, which lead to certain beliefs about life. That's generally how it is, and it's not wrong. But once all these beliefs are in place and programmed, they create our world. Our subjective world. There is no objective reality, rather, each person has their own reality. You've probably noticed that everyone perceives the world a little differently. And this subjective world is created by our thoughts and feelings. So, this is where the universal law of life comes into play, which is called the law of resonance. This is a natural law. So it's not esotericism or anything like that, it's physics. We know the law of resonance from music or acoustics, where two tones vibrating at the same or similar frequency attract each other. And they resonate, so to speak. Yes, they go into resonance with each other. And now it is so that quantum physics has discovered that not only tones consist of vibrations that can oscillate at a certain frequency, but everything in the universe is essentially like tones vibrating at a certain frequency. Yes, that means people, things, events, situations, feelings, and thoughts are actually made up of pure energy that oscillates, meaning it vibrates at a very specific frequency. I think I've hinted at this a bit in other videos as well. But here, it's really about this law of resonance, what it is and what effects it has. When you emit a certain frequency with your emotions and thoughts. Let's say with negative feelings and thoughts, you emit a rather low vibrating frequency. And with positive feelings and thoughts, you emit a rather high vibrating frequency. And through this natural law, through this law of resonance, you attract things from the outside, almost like magnetically. It's not really magnetic, not literally, but you can imagine it that way. You magnetically draw things into your life that resonate with it. So in practical life, you can imagine it like this. If you're in a bad mood all day and somehow think everything is crap and life is meh, and I'm a poor victim. And whatever you think, you broadcast it like a transmission tower, and other people out there who think the same way. They receive it like a radio station. That means you suddenly keep encountering people who are on the same frequency and are just like you. And then you feel like the whole world is bad because you've attracted these people into your life. And if you're in a great mood and go through life with a cheerful smile, then you meet people who are also in a great mood. Something like that. There's also this old saying, what you call into the forest, so it echoes back. This is somewhat related because it is indeed true that you attract people and events into your life that resonate on the same frequency. That means, if we remember that, we think 95% unconscious thoughts. Then, you can imagine that we don't really notice that we are creating our world with our thoughts. So, the thing is, if you don't become aware that what you think creates something out there, something material, then the subconscious creates it. So, we are creators of our own reality. We are constantly creating our world out there every second through what we think and feel. It actually materializes. Everything we think and feel materializes. Of course, not immediately, obviously. If I say now, a pink elephant, there won't be a pink elephant standing there. Thank you very much. But with a bit of a delay and maybe a little differently than you exactly thought, it does happen. That means, for example, something you are very, very afraid of. If you constantly think about what you are afraid of, what could happen, and you keep going into this fear fantasy and stoking it, then it increases the likelihood that exactly that will happen in your life. Because you are drawing it into your life. Fortunately, it doesn't happen that quickly. You don't need to be afraid now. For example, if you suffer from anxiety disorders, then it can happen that these thoughts practically impose themselves. These fear fantasies, when you constantly worry, generalized anxiety disorders. I also wanted to make a separate video about that. So don't worry, it doesn't happen that quickly. Yes, but, in principle, that's how it is. And, of course, that has a disadvantage somewhere. That we have to take responsibility for our lives. Everything we experience in our lives now is the result of our past thoughts. We created this for ourselves, we made it ourselves. Of course, you can't say that 100% one-to-one, because there are also other people who create as well. So, of course, you are not solely responsible for everything that happens in the world. That's obviously nonsense. We also create collectively, for example. But what happens in your immediate reality, you have created for yourself. And now comes a very, very important thought, namely, you are not to blame. Please don't blame yourself for anything bad you might have caused in your life, in the sense of, oh no, now I'm also to blame. Because these things happen unconsciously, and everything you have unconsciously created. You are, of course, responsible for in the sense that you caused it, but you are not to blame because you didn't know. You didn't do it on purpose. So, everything you have accidentally created in your life, you are not to blame for. Please forgive yourself for that and don't misunderstand me. You are not to blame for your depression, rather, your subconscious created it for you. And indeed, always, with good intentions, not to annoy you. That is very, very important. You needed this depression for. Yes. Let's say, to reach a new, better state. To expand your consciousness. To improve your quality of life, to simply have the necessity to go through this transformation journey. So just imagine that in everything you do, think, and say. Throughout the day, you are like a farmer in the field. You sow and sow for your future. There are advantages. The disadvantage is that you really carry a great responsibility for your future because there are no coincidences. That doesn't exist. You create your future. But it also has a huge advantage. Namely, the world is open to you if you learn to apply this law of attraction. You have the power to change your life and create the life you want. Namely, by learning to consciously change your thoughts. That's why therapy is so important, instead of just taking pills. Yes. When you learn to become aware of your thoughts and notice what you're thinking up again, then you can interrupt yourself. I have already made a video about these stop phrases, with which you can practice interrupting yourself. That would be a question. One of these stop phrases that hasn't appeared in this list of 10 yet, namely, that would be point number 11, want stop phrases. Do I want more of this in the future? Everything you think and say and do, keep asking yourself this question. Do I want more of this in the future? Okay, if you want more of it, then keep thinking about it if they are nice, positive things. But if you are thinking about negative things and you ask yourself the question, do I want more of this? And the answer is no, then interrupt yourself and make a new decision. Think about what you want to have, because energy always follows attention. We know this from quantum physics. It's too complicated to explain right now. I'm not a physicist and can't explain it properly either. But energy follows attention, meaning everything you focus your attention on, you amplify in your life. So if you catch yourself constantly telling how terrible your life is, you call a friend and tell them again how terrible everything is and what bad things someone did to you. And that nothing can change for you because you had such and such a childhood and it's just not possible. Then you keep spinning in the same loop of how bad everything is. And by doing so, you create a future where you continue to be stuck in it. You will remain stuck. Because your thoughts create your future. This means your big task now is to change your thoughts and to make clear to yourself what you actually want, what your goals are, what you would like instead. Because by doing so, you create a different future for yourself. The greatest difficulty lies in shutting down the doubter up here. Because it's like this. Our brain works in such a way that we always infer the future from the past. If you have already, let's say, done 3 therapies and tried everything, and you have experienced in the past that you can't get out of depression, then you conclude for the future that it won't work in the future either. Your brain does that all by itself because that's just how it works. And that's the big challenge, to overcome the doubt and come to trust that this time it will be different. That there is a chance, even for you, that this time it will be different. So that's the big task we need to practice. I will make a separate video about doubt because that is a very, very big, significant topic. And that's where the biggest challenge lies in manifesting. That's what it's called, manifesting, when you fulfill your wishes by repeatedly immersing yourself in what you want, by visualizing it. For example, you can do daily exercises by, let's say, we start with small things. Overcoming depression. That's already a rather bigger task. Start with small things that don't overwhelm you. For example, I don't know, wish for a nice evening with a pleasant person or something like that. And then you keep imagining it, keep going back to it, perceive it with all your senses. How will it look there? What will you hear? What will you smell? How will it be? Yes. Really perceive it sensorially in your imagination and visualize it until it feels really good. Because you get into this feeling of how it will be. That is the art of manifesting. So, manifesting means attracting the things into your life, mathematically, that you would like to have. You have to put yourself in a state where you believe the desired thing is already there. If you manage to get into this feeling, as if the wish has already been fulfilled, then the universe starts to bring it into your life. And the art is to send off the wish and let go. So if you are constantly, urgently, I really want this and it absolutely has to happen, you block the universe, then it doesn't work. That is really quite difficult. And that's why I advise you to start with something that is not so unlikely, but rather something that is likely to happen. Like, for example, a nice evening with a friend or something like that. That's just an example. And with that, you can try out what it's like when you have no doubt. It doesn't work with doubt. Doubt is what cancels the wishes with the universe. And that's actually the only thing that we need to learn. When we manifest, what to learn? If you watch the movie The Secret, then be a little cautious. It's to be taken with a bit of caution because, for one, it's not made for people with depression. You just need to keep in mind not to watch it. And then think all the time, great, I can't do that, how am I supposed to? It's a slightly different path if you want to come out of depression. Because it deals, for example, with material wishes. If you want to manifest your dream car, you have to keep imagining yourself sitting in it and so on. Yes, and that might not be your topic at the moment. But at least you can fundamentally understand how it works. It's an American Hollywood film, basically a Hollywood documentary, with expert interviews. And then in between, the way it's portrayed, scenically is very American, so it might not necessarily be to your taste, but it's simple, you get a very good explanation and understanding of how this important component of life works. And it's not just a nice topic that you can try out, because this law of resonance, it's a natural law, it always applies. Gravity, it also applies even when we're not thinking about it or when we don't believe in it or when we say gravity is esoteric, it still works. We manifest nonetheless, constantly. And if we don't learn to do it consciously, then our subconscious creates our world with all its beliefs. If you believe, I'm too dumb, I am, then the subconscious will ensure that, through the law of resonance, it attracts things into your life that constantly confirm these beliefs, and then you're in a vicious cycle. To get out of it, you must not wait for external events to change first so that the belief changes. That won't happen. Instead, you are the origin of everything with your thoughts. Yes, you must learn to change your thoughts. And then, gradually, something different will manifest in your world. Because then the subconscious will naturally try to make a new positive belief come true and confirm it. So, yes, as I said, about the doubt, about the fear that it might not work out, I'll make a separate video on that. Because it's actually the most challenging task. That's the tricky part, and the meanest thing about it is that there's always a voice in the back of your mind trying to talk you out of it and cancel your wishes. But, yes, that's for another video. I hope I've explained this somewhat understandably. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments. And the whole topic will certainly be addressed differently sometime soon. Hinted at. Something else I want to make a video about is, for example, this book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, by Joe Dispenza, which is exactly about applying this, namely creating a new self for yourself. Leaving your depressive self behind and creating a healthy, happy, joyful self. And how you can do that, I'll make another new video about it. Okay, my dears, take care. If you like the video, feel free to like it as always, or subscribe to my channel, or join my Facebook group. Love yourself, because you are wonderful. Feel free to check out my website www.seelenklopfen.de if you ever want to have a coaching session with me. And you are welcome to book a free, short, preliminary phone call on my online calendar. There is the opportunity. Just give it a try and then we'll see if it fits and if I can help you. Take care, my dears. Bye.